Artwork, critiques, Photoshop files, and reference sheets are all available on my Patreon.
Welcome to the unboxing review of the Wacom Cintiq 16 graphics drawing tablet, which overall is a lovely piece of kit to use, but has some major flaws and some questionable customer service. More on that in a bit. But if you do want to get your hands on one of these high-end bad boys, links of course are in the description below. So those lovely people at Wacom sent me out one of these tablets from the Europe office, and you can expect it to come in some primarily white, clean, display-ready packaging of the tablet itself with some colourful art on the front. There's a little bit of tablet information alongside the edges of the box, along with what looks to be a unique model serial number, and the further specific package contents printed on the back with a lovely great big picture of the tablet. This opens sideways to slide out the hard cardboard product, but split into two main sections. The largest houses the tablet itself with all of the peripherals inside of a foam reinforced box lid, and the smaller contains some plugs depending on what country you live in. And of course yours will be more specific to your own location. The Wacom Cintiq 16-inch tablet itself comes sealed in a thin black material wrap and is mostly a thing of beauty, with a tapering thickness towards the top at the back, a couple of pull-out peg legs, a ribbon of material on the right-hand edge which holds the spare nibs in a slot, and can also store the pen, and this can be pulled out and slotted into the left-hand side depending on if you're a southpaw. Beneath that, you will find the all-in-one multi-cable which plugs into one end of the tablet, whilst the other end splits three ways to connect your computer via USB, the power pack, and the HDMI input for the display monitor screen. Then you've got said power pack also further wrapped in black, a folded up quick start guide, and the 8192 pressure levels pen, which mine had a very minor fault at low pressure strokes, which I'll talk about shortly. So overall you've got the display box itself, the Wacom Cintiq 16 graphics drawing tablet, a product pamphlet and quick start guides, the 8192 pressure levels pen, likely two different power plugs depending on your region, the power adapter pack, and the 3-in-1 multi-cable. So it's not much. And if it feels like something is missing, that's because Wacom don't include a simple smudge guard glove for letting your hand rest smoothly on the screen without transferring any schmutz, nor does this tablet come with an adjustable stand. Wacom expect you to buy these separately for about an extra $100, so do keep that in mind. Now don't get me wrong, this tablet on the front is a lovely piece of kit. It feels great, looks good, and comes with a slot near the rear top edge which opens up for the connecting cable to keep it clear from the sides and the bottom where it might otherwise interfere with either of your hands or the stand. And it closes on top to lock the connection in place, which is great. But the two fold-out legs which are built into this tablet are terrible. They come out on a hinge which flexes under pressure, meaning that if you lean any weight into the tablet it can actually shift around a bit, and because this one setting means the tablet itself sits at an incredibly shallow angle on your desk, if you're going to start leaning over it, I'm not confident that these things won't break if you put too much weight there. They might look chunky, but they actually feel a bit flimsy and don't lock into place. This tablet does take the basic quick release stand which you can find with most desktop models from different brands, which meant I could use the tablet in the more upright position and save myself a world of neck and backache. These might sound like the complaints of an old man, spoiler alert I am, but if you're going to spend hours working on your art projects, this is actually really important. Anyway, once set up, you'll want to download the latest drivers from the Wacom website and install the application. The Wacom interface for customizing the pen and calibrating the display is pretty sleek, looks up to date, and is easy to use. The main part being that I set the pen buttons to switch the pen from eraser when held down, and set the second button on the pen to act as my right click. So here's what the Wacom Cintiq 16 looks like when set up in a fairly wide desk space like my own. And in that middle size range of tablets, the 16-inch screen keeps it light and convenient enough to use directly in front of my main monitors or just pop off to the side. but you will want that extra stand if you plan to pop it up to 90 degrees upright if you intend to also use it as a second monitor for watching videos when not in use for art. And I often find it helps to calibrate the screen color levels by comparing the images across all of my monitors that hold a particular primary color. Although I actually ended up using this monitor almost exactly as it came out of the box for its color settings, really only dropping the brightness levels of the screen slightly to avoid any eye strain. The Wacom Stylus Pen comes much like the Huion and XP Pen counterparts, with a hard black plastic finish and a rubberized section around the grip. It's flared near the tip for comfort over time, and the two buttons by the silvered Wacom logo are fairly unobtrusive but still trackable by touch alone. The profile of the lead button only slightly sticks out of the pen, so somebody with much larger hands than mine might find it a little bit fiddly to hold down when using the eraser tool, and it slots into the removable loop of material on the side of the tablet that, as mentioned, can pop out to house the spare nibs. So as ever, I made sure that I used this tablet for a good long while before making this review so that I could just sit here and give you my overall impressions as an artist. I decided to draw my OCs, Danny and Victoria, as elf girls from that Starbucks meme from a million years ago because I'm very out of date. And as you know, I'm not going to stress too much about things like the pen's responsiveness in the far corner edges of the screen, or test out how good it is when making a straight line using a real ruler on top of a tablet, because I don't actually do these things when I'm making a piece of art. However, I do often like to work with feather light brushstrokes when lightly blending colors, or just very faintly sketching in some initial ideas. And that's when it became apparent that my Wacom pen came with a fault. At very light pressure, the nib of the pen did not depress evenly and smoothly with the strokes, but instead resisted the pressure and then clicked in with a step, which meant instead of a smooth increase in line opacity, it jumped a step on screen. I tried rotating and changing the nibs, but it was clear that it wasn't operating correctly, because at one particularly inconvenient angle of the pen, when I held it with the buttons facing the wrong side, it did respond smoothly and properly to the feather light changes in pressure. It just wasn't doing that all the way around. Now, Wacom technology is generally top shelf and the best around when it comes to the quality of the pen-to-screen experience. So this was starting to drive me nuts. I hopped onto the Wacom customer service web chat and explained all of this to one of their agents, where Wacom tried to tell me that the pen wasn't broken and was operating correctly. So I repeated the bit about how I found it to be smooth at an incorrect position, at that one odd angle, an experience that wasn't happening when I held the pen normally. So Wacom then told me that the mechanical click of the nib in the pen was a very minor thing that's not noticeable, and that it was not going to interfere with my drawing. At this point, I had to remind them that it was indeed interfering and was indeed noticeable, because if I hadn't noticed anything, I wouldn't be talking to their customer support. And after pushing that I happen to be quite familiar with different tablets and pens because I review them from time to time, eventually, after trying to convince me that the pen was fine or that it didn't really matter, they then escalated it to a manager who emailed back later to confirm they would send out a replacement. So that customer service experience wasn't amazing, because if I was somebody who was trying my first ever tablet and I wasn't confident about the ins and outs of the product, I might have been persuaded by Wacom that the fault in the pen was just my imagination. So alongside that and the fact that they don't include a simple cheap thing like a smudge glove or even a proper stand for the tablet, kind of feels like a slap in the face seeing as you're paying premium prices. But the fact remains that the quality of the pen-to-screen texture experience when using this tablet is the best I've ever experienced. Huion and XP Pen have come closer and closer in their quality over the last 4 years, but this still beats them both. And with the new pen and spare stand, this thing was a real pleasure to use. The parallax isn't really worth mentioning, and to be fair, as a right-handed user, I actually set my pen nib calibration to be ever so slightly offset to the left, so that it acts as an extension of the pen direction and helps to stop my fingertips from obscuring any brushstrokes. So the question is, other than their track record of customer service, bearing in mind that it was discovered that Wacom's own Twitter account was blocking people the year before last if they were complaining about having a fault with their tablet, yikes. would I still recommend the Wacom Cintiq 16? Well, if you want the best of the best and you have the money for it, again bearing in mind an extra $100 needed for the stand and the glove, then the Wacom Cintiq range really is where it's at. And I have been having great fun using mine. The tablet has no quick access keys, which isn't always an issue, and they do sell a separate product for that, but the pen to screen feeling really was top tier, and for me that is one of the most important parts of using a tablet. However, in terms of value for money, if you're on a budget, then I'd say Huion and XP Pen still have similar models that come with quick access keys on the side and a pen to screen feeling which is also great, just simply not quite as good. And they'll do that for a much lower price. Anyway, I'll include links to all of those tablets below so that you can compare them at your own leisure. And of course, a great big thank you to Wacom for making the lovely Cintiq 16, because other than dropping the ball with the stand and the lack of peripherals, it really is a lovely tablet to use. And of course, a great big thank you to you guys for watching this video. Commenting, liking, and subscribing is what really helps out and is what makes all of these things happen. But if I've missed anything that you happen to know about regarding the Cintiq 16, or if you have any other questions of your own, get your sweet selves into the comments section below. I'll see you next time, and take care.